What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are at the park outside St. Vitus on this beautiful summer day. Summer's come to an end, so we're ending things on a high note. We are here with Creeping Death. Thank you all for being here.
Of course, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. Wretched Illusions, your newest record, is absolutely brutal. Do you guys want to give like a rundown on how the making of this record was and the recording and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we kind of got signed kind of unexpectedly, and we didn't really have anything in the bank, so we kind of had to write it all in a span of 10 to 12 weeks.
Wow.
So we just, we all had work and whatnot. We just practiced once, twice a week as much as we could, and just knocked it out. Tried to do a couple songs a week, and as soon as we would finish one, we'd move on to the next one, and then we would just kind of tweak them as we went along.
Awesome. Want to elaborate?
Yeah. So I go to practice with them, and then see how the songs get built, and then take a really crappy phone recording home and just stay up till 5 a.m. like 3 out of 5 nights during the weekday and just write the lyrics like bow, bow, bow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned you had to get this record done in kind of like a short span of time. Did that maybe impact like the sound of this music than what you had done previously?
I would feel, honestly, the timetable kind of helped us, I think.
Yeah, we do well under pressure, I feel
Yeah,
like.
so it kind of it's not that we're not driven people to begin with, but it kind of pushed us to keep going, and it also, I feel like personally, the urgency of it kind of comes through on the record. It's kind of aggressive, and you feel that sort of urgency coming through a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, some people would criticize like, oh, this was done too quick, you didn't put enough, but I feel like, especially with metal, pressure's such a good fuel.
Yeah. And personally, on a personal level, I feel like the way I write music, I don't try to think about it too much. When you tinker and think about it too much, you end up with a product that might not even be as as good as
Overdone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes you just need to simple is better. Keep it simple,
Exactly. The simplest explanation is always the best.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, one thing I was curious is with the making, because I thought that this record is very consistently brutal. I feel like there's not if people like one song, they could probably appreciate the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Was this maybe like a preconceived idea to make like a record that was consistent, or was there maybe any experimentation involved?
Yeah. I mean, we always are kind of pretty simple people. So everything has always been we just want to be a death metal band.
Yeah.
We've had the same influences from the beginning to now. Basically, what changed is we got a better drummer, and I got better at guitar. That's really it. Reese's vocals got infinitely better.
Yeah.
So that's really the big change. Not really anything else, honestly.
Yeah, and I think the sound of the record is really consistent in its sound exactly, but there's something for everybody. There's a slow track, there's a hard track, there's a fast track, there's some of both. So, yeah, it's dexterity, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like, people who like death metal could appreciate this, but some people who will I feel like you tackle all types of death metal, whether it's like a Morbid Angel or like a technical death metal, and I feel like you have kind of like that hardcore, like Harm's Way or I Am sort of effect to it.
Yeah, Harm's Way was definitely one of the hardcore bands that led me to really diving into death metal and stuff. A lot of stuff with their that LP Isolation, that tone. I was just like, what is
record.
that? And I just kind of dove in, and ever since then, it's been kind of on the downhill from there. So, definitely.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you had to have the music written in order to come up with the lyrics and stuff. Do you ever have a concept in mind to maybe write over the music, or do you just, in order to have anything, you need music?
My process for lyrics is basically listen to the song 2,000 times, get the vibe of the song, and then decide what it's about. I have some ideas preconceived before we even started writing, but it was that song is that idea. And
I know Reese hates me because I don't write anything with regards to vocals or bass.
Oh yeah.
So every it's a very guitar and drum driven band.
Yeah.
So we basically write the songs. Here you go, Reese. Send you a really
of that,
crappy voice memo.
A lot of my vocals get super percussive too. And it's
It feels like you're rapping.
I'm after the fucking middle way of the song.
Well, being that you have to write the guitar and everything like that, do you focus on the rhythm first, or is there a melody that you revolve around? Is there ever a part that has to come first?
Oh, I'm a drummer first.
Oh.
I've been playing drums since I was like 12, and I'm 26 now. So I picked up guitar when I was like 19 or 20.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I write everything in my head as like a drummer. Drums first. I hear a drum beat, and then usually Lincoln is a drum machine. Like he's a drum machine straight up. So I can be like, hey, I got this kind of like vibe. Like do this, and then he'll play the beat, and then I'll kind of try to structure it around that in my head. And sometimes I'll have something I'll bring to practice with an idea of how I kind of want it drum. But for the most part, it's just a lot of feeling a drum beat, like feeling a part, feeling a rhythm, and then trying to write a riff around that.
Yeah, I interviewed Salaburu Scott, who used to play drums for Life of Agony, but now sings and plays guitar in Pale Horse Named Death, and he says the way he would write drums is the same way he would write music. There really isn't too much of a difference, and maybe could actually help.
It absolutely does. For me, anyway, I think a lot of our rhythms are very percussive. I love syncopated beats, stuff like that. I was in band and drumline for a couple years when I was like 8th and 9th grade. So a lot of that, I still have a lot of that kind of knowledge and stuff in me, and I try to work it into different ways, in different ways with whether it's our music or just how the feeling kind of comes off. That's a big thing for me. Is like I don't necessarily want to be like, oh, fight riff, blast beat, blah blah blah. It's like I want this groove to feel like this. I want this groove to feel like this. So it's more of a overarching thing from like beginning to end.
Very interesting. When it comes to bringing your material live versus like in the studio or practice space, do you try to maybe execute it exactly how people are going to hear it on the album, or do you like to maybe make the live experience different than just what people are going to experience from listening to you?
I feel like some of the songs, okay, so me as the vocalist, and I'm like, oh, this is faster than on the record. There's a few songs where we speed up from older records, but most of them I think that we played so far off the new album have been like pretty on time with how we recorded it. However, we do play pretty fucking fast sometimes.
And for me, I never play a set the same way twice. I like to throw in a bunch of random stuff and keep it interesting. A live set should be like it should have a different energy. But on the flip side of that, we really recorded this album with the intention of we want this to sound like what we do live. So when people hear the record, when they come and see us, they're not going to be like surprised. It's going to be like, oh, this is what the record sounds like.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
People will be able to tell what song it is, but it's still not going to just be a rehash.
Exactly.
Is there a similar energy you channel into the live presence versus like in the studio or practice space, or when you're playing in front of an audience, it just completely alters everything?
Totally
I just get super hyped and I just get juiced and I can't.
Like in the studio, I'm like hyper focused and I'm like, this has to be excellent. And on stage, I'm like all those things, but it has to look badass, which kind of changes it for me too. So.
And I have two more questions for you guys, and my viewers are probably sick of me asking this, but like I've interviewed so many bands from Texas. I told you I just interviewed Kublai Khan recently, but I've also interviewed I Am, who I know you guys are pretty tight with. Yeah. Like, is there I forgot what specific area of Texas you're from, but is
Dallas.
Okay, Dallas. Is there like a specific scene that you are involved with in Texas that you kind of cut your teeth in, or was your goal to kind of maybe get out of Texas as quick as possible in order to spread Creeping Death's name out there?
We're all definitely just Texas hardcore kids.
Yeah.
Texas is so far from like a lot of other major markets that you have to really do it yourself. Whether it's Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, you can literally set up a tour and do all those cities, and it would be crazy and incredibly lucrative. And it's really a good way to really build yourself up, and a lot of good bands to play with, and it's great. Like I love being from Texas, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Texas on my chest.
Yeah, awesome. Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you have to say is we're the home of where Pantera is, and everybody will shut up after that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And the final question I want to ask you, the hardest question I ask every artist, and I love asking them for that. I want you both to elaborate.
Okay.
How do you know when a song is done?
For me, I don't know. It's just like a feeling. Usually, I don't know. I have like ADD, so I don't like. I know our songs are kind of long because we're a metal band, but I never want to overstay our welcome. So it's like, okay, this has been kind of prodding along. It's like, all right, let's try to like wrap this up,
Yeah, we do write like pretty long songs, but at the same time, we want every part of the song to be fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you don't want to. Eventually, you either have too many repeating riffs or so many riffs that it feels busy. So I feel like I don't know. I feel like we're really good at finding a conclusive riff or like a good way to end songs. The way I know it's finished is because I finished the lyrics, because that's the last thing that we do.
Fair enough. Did my part. I'm out.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you guys so much for your time today.
Of course, man.
Yeah. Is there just anything else with Creeping Death you would like to promote in terms of tours? I know that the Wretched Illusions is coming out September 27th, right?
Yes, yes.
Is there just anything else you want to promote?
We're going on tour with Power Trip and High on Fire and Devil Master in November.
I'll see you at the Elsewhere show.
Yes, yes.
Absolute
That's gonna be
heaters.
sick. Can't wait. Other than that, we have a couple little things. We're playing a festival in Tulsa, October 26th, called Murder Fest. That's going to be sick. It's Halloween themed kind of thing. And then we're also in September, we're playing Slaughter Q in Atlanta with Exodus and Exhorter and a lot of other crazy bands. So we're excited.
That's a brutal band.
Dude,
It's
yeah.
gonna be sick.
Yeah, I feel like you guys could play like a hardcore fest, a death metal fest, summer slaughter, you name it.
Yeah, I mean, we play anything, man. We play with rappers, play with punk bands, play with power violence bands. Like, we will never limit ourselves with who we play with.
Maybe a tour with Celine Dion one day.
I mean, if she's down, dude.
Well, thank you guys so much. Everybody, we are here with Creeping Death, Wretched Illusions, out via E1 on September 27th. Pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.